Greetings, gamers. Welcome to another Dev Stream special. This time with another great member of the team behind Abbey Games and Reus 2. And we're going to talk a lot about the art directions, how things come into motion and to play. And no better than that, I think Maarten can explain you how it works, how it looks, why it looks like this. But before we dive into that, Maarten, who are you? What do you do?
Hi, I'm Maarten. Thanks for having me. So I am. I do a lot of things at Abbey Games, but my main role is making the screen look beautiful. I don't end up actually drawing the precise art assets in game, but I do make sure it comes all together into one final composition.
I mean, it's very important to keep like the big picture and to know how everything should align and look like to, you know, be smoothing to the eyes and also have a gameplay important aspects from there. Speaking of, what was your what was the core artistic vision that guided you creating Reus 2 and all its assets?
So for Reus 2, it's we of course have Reus 1, which already has a very distinct style. So Reus 2 was in a sense taking that, because we don't want to deviate from that too much, and just make it a whole lot more beautiful. And I think the style was actually inspired by these educational paintings you have for geography. I can show you an image if you
yeah, definitely,
if you would like that. So I guess you're very familiar with these images where they show you the water cycle or how layers of Earth exist within the planet. And that's sort of the style we went for initially, and this was also because Reus 1 used to be a very heavy simulation game where actually clouds would rise from the ocean and there would be a water cycle and it would rain down and the soil would get wet and such. And we didn't end up going that far, but sort of the visual style of that remained because we found it a very clear and pleasing style to look at.
Of course, I mean, it's after all a god game, and seeing the cycles of creation, be played out is always a nice touch for the eye. Speaking now very shortly about Reus 1, what has progressed in the kind of like looks from Reus 1 now to Reus 2? What is like the difference? You mentioned now that some of the kind of like visual cycles were stepped away from. And what inspired you to make an evolution from Reus 1 to Reus 2 and its look?
Yeah, so Reus 1 was actually we only barely made it work in a sense because we were actually pretty inexperienced at the time. This was 10 years ago. And there's a lot of trickery going on to make this round planet, but still use like 2D assets. And there are actually some very nasty hacks there just to make it sort of work. For Reus 2, we have built this from the ground up, actually beginning with a sort of 3D representation of the world. So it's no trickery. It's really a sort of strange perspective you have on this world, and that gives us the opportunity to do all of cool depth-based effects. Like you now have lush grass, and you have shadows that actually interact with the surroundings, and you have clouds and fogginess. So that was all not possible before because it was not a true 3D representation of the world.
Okay, so Reus 1 was more like a 2D template that you were working on, and
Reus 1 was very much layered, to do 2D sprites layered, And then we had some sneaky effects that would, as you pan the camera, would slightly move the trees in front at a faster pace than the trees in the back. So
Okay.
it would create sort of an illusion of depth and 3Dness, but it was all very much faked.
I mean, if it works and it looks or it brings the effect that you want, then definitely, why not?
Yeah.
You showed me before we started our call some kind of like how the world looks right now and how it function now that you made it 3D in a sense, but the presentation is still like from the front. Can we dive into that and have a quick look at it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me load up a planet here.
I was going to ask you about the giants in a bit, but let's have a look at that first.
So this is a planet as it would be during a playthrough. I have a few biomes, right? And so if I move the camera slowly, you see that there is this sort of depth effect. You know, that like I said, the assets in front are moving faster than the assets in the back. And we tricked this in Reus 1 to the point that where actually, if you were to be able to look at the bottom part of the planet while you were zoomed in, then all the assets would just group into one clump because it was such a dirty hack that we did there. For this version, we actually made a 3D representation of the planet itself, and so the camera would look from the right now.
Yeah, exactly, like the front view. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then you would see this terrain is actually on a 45-degree angle, which makes the world conical in a sense. If we were to extend this terrain, it would end up in a cone. But it's just cut a slice out of this cone, and that's how we do it, and that gives us a lot of freedom because we can actually do these. We can do all sort of atmospheric effects here. Let me see if I can quickly show some of that. So there's actually an extra layer of fog. That's a complicated shader where, based on the depth, it would show these sort of cloud things, and these are all very subtle effects. But I think it ends up looking a lot better. And this is of course not final, even though we're very much approaching a release date. But a lot of in the last few months, a lot of it is coming together nicely, I would say.
Definitely. I mean, you guys are still in the progress cycles of finishing up the game, and I can imagine that a lot of these things will be, fleshed out and made even better as you progress with it. I love the idea of this kind of like tilted 45 degree. You said, I think 45, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And also gives a little bit of depth in terms of the strategical aspect. Now talking very quickly about the game mechanic, because I think Reus 1 was just like 2 hexagons placed that you were able to do, and now you have like a deeper range of like 3, and then they intersect downwards and have like a way more bigger puzzle effect. And then if I recall, even the stone giant can like even stretch the surface out further by placing like some mountain aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me see if I can show you that. I can indeed place a mountain, and like you mentioned, I used the wrong ability there. Let me see if I can get the right one. That one. So there's a mountain, which the mountain gives the advantage of an extra node. Like you said, there are actually nodes here and then nodes here for, that continues on indefinitely. But when you have a mountain, it would add an extra node here where you can place some more stuff. And because the sort of inner loop for Reus is that you have this puzzle of placing animals and plants and minerals, and the adjacency is very important for that. So this not only gives you more room for stuff, but it also gives you more strategical options, because you can suddenly, this node is connected now by not just 1, 2, 3, 4, but 6 nodes. So that's interesting. If you have, for example, a rule that gives you more food where you have more neighboring assets, then this gives you a lot more than it would give you here.
Exactly. For those who are seeing this for the first time and don't know anything about Reus 2, you basically tell your giants to place down bioticas or elements or resources. Let's call them resources very quickly. And they synergize with each other. So, for example, the resource of critters that give you food, if you go and mix them together with predators, the boost of the resource output from those predators for the critters will be higher because they're synergizing with each other. And that's the puzzle effect that you have to calculate and plan your creating of the worlds, while of course also the AI and their NPCs and lovely villagers walking around using those assets creates a little story to go on and play out. How, speaking now of the giants, how many giants do we have and how do they look like?
So we have 6 right now. We will release with 6. And that's from 4 in Reus 1, but it's not like we added 2. We actually revisited the giants as a concept and also their designs. So there was a swamp giant in Reus 1, but it looked totally different than this one. And similarly for the forest giant. Well, this is a classic. This fella was also in Reus 1, of course, and thematically has remained much the same.
Are we allowed to see all the giants yet?
Yeah, let me see if I can do some developer trickery here. I think if I do it like here, yeah, then we have them all in a row. So the assumption
very quickly,
often is
who is what? Who's doing what?
Yeah, so we have forest, savanna, frost, swamp, ocean, and rock. And the assumption often is that every giant has their own biome, but that's not entirely true. There's no one-to-one mapping for these things, but there is, there is the specialization. I mean, the ocean giant can make oceans and may have some extra bonuses for that, but the frost giant can also make oceans, because you actually play the session with just a selection of 3 giants, and you need to both have similar opportunities to with every permutation of giants, but it should also be different enough each time.
Fair enough. Is there like a specific inspiration of the artistic decision here, how the giants are looking, or did you just created them from scratch, or did you have like some influence of like, I don't know, maybe some cartoon where there was a giant coming up? I'm just thinking of Hercules, Disney's Hercules.
Right, yeah. Well, actually, that was, especially, I think this Frost fella behind this one is, I think, pretty much inspired from a sequence in the Hercules Disney movie. What we wanted to do is we wanted to at least have some old favorites from the first game, but besides from that, it's really a sort of very open process in how we approach these designs. We have one character artist, Carmen, whose job it is to solely think up these giants and then iterate on them a lot. I can show you some progressy stuff there as well. So this was, for example, an iteration we'd done on the rock giant. So in the bottom right, that's actually the Reus 1 version. And we tried to go different directions with these each time. So in the end, we sort of went a little bit for this vibe. We also, the style of the game undergoes a lot of evolution as well, so it isn't exactly like that. But for mood, it's very nice.
I love the top left one. He looks very kind of like grumpy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We
Nice.
also have one for the forest here. Yeah.
So from the OG giants, we basically took them and then tried to make like inspired by the known giants, some alterations to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely. The forest giant has like a little forest coats of plants around him.
Yeah, sort of. Coats exactly. And the forest, we actually have 3 types of forest in Reus 2. We have like the normal temperate forest, but we also have rainforest, and then we have taiga. And taiga is like a boreal, like northern cold forest. I don't think I can show it here, but no, I'm not sure where it is. Oh, there it is. Here, there's the taiga. Well, anyway, we have 3 kinds of forest, which is visually very interesting, I think.
First of visually, then from the technical perspective as well, and also just from the variety in terms of like, I guess some players will enjoy certain aspects and foresty types more than others, and have just a better way to express their godlish hand and imprints on their worlds that they want to create.
Yeah, well, I think Reus is actually. I think Reus can be fun for 2 different kind of players. There are the number crunchy players that really like making sort of the optimal combination of biotica, and just get the highest number basically. That's one end, and then on the other end you have this very sort of relaxing player that just would like to make a beautiful world and then look at the humans and see what they do. And you don't have to be on either of the ends. You can also be somewhere in the middle. But personally, my player profile is more on the sort of relaxy side, and I find it very interesting a question to think about. How can you make 3 different kinds of forests and then still have them be have their own identities, have them feel different, and like that.
I love it. I'm loving what I see, and I love how it looks like. Since you guys were now working on the sequel, how were there some new unique challenges that you had to break through working from a 2D platform going into 3D? And did you make some interesting breakthroughs in experiencing now creating the world on 3D assets and creating all the visual elements?
Yeah, so I would say maybe this gets too technical, but
just shortly.
It's actually just shortly. It's actually kind of hard to make this world both render fast, and also have it be dynamically shaped. So let me see if I can sort of play with that around. So I'm actually dragging these cones, and that actually directly influences the terrain here. There are a lot of vertices, like the little triangles that make up the terrain, and having them redone every time there is a small change in the terrain is actually very hard on your processor. So what we've done is we've moved all the complex calculations to the GPU, and the GPU is very good at doing lots of simple tasks, but like a whole batch of it at the same time. So that actually speeds up the game very much, and I'm pretty happy actually with what we achieved there.
I love how fast is just with a few hand grabs of like altering some inputs, as in like terrain height and whatnot, instantly can be seen in terms of the visual change on the play view, so to say. And I guess that also helped you with the skill sets of the giants, like when he's creating the mountain to make this synergy of zoop creating the mountain, let the biome elevate, and have a really nice grid and feel to it. I like it. Also love the ocean crab when he's like slamming down and all of the terrain is moving down and it creates water on top of it.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's basically free in terms of processing power right now. So we want to use it as much as possible. So I'm not gonna promise anything here, but on my personal wish list, at some point, I would really love to make a volcano, and with lava coming out of the earth. Again, going back to the whole sort of geography feel of things.
Nice. Will we then see when you zoom out a little bit from the core center of the world coming up the lava breaking the earth apart?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I imagine there being some more fiery core here, and then whenever you cast that, you would see some sort of a vein of lava going up and then erupting it here and then raising the land. That would be very cool. But again, this is not something we're gonna do for the launch version, but maybe at some point.
Secret giant to unlock.
Yeah, exactly.
Magma giant or fire giant coming from the inner circle.
Yeah, very much.
Now, looking at all the aspects and the artistic decisions that you've made, is there something that you are specifically, I don't know, very proud of, where you had like the most influence in your personal imprints, where you like tapping yourself and it's like, this is there because I thought of it?
What I liked for several reasons actually is we made a you have like this constellation where your planets are kept. Mm-hmm. Right, and this was a very fun thing to do. So you have these small planets; they're not exactly looking like your actual planet, but it's a sort of interpretation. Right, you see some villages, you see some parts, and this was a lot of fun to make because it was an example of how Marlies' artistic work. Really came together with my sort of technical expertise of things. We made some complex shaders that would divide her assets into these parts and then add a rim lighting to it. And actually these are the sort of base assets where you would see there is a layer of trees and a layer of rim lights, and there's a part that sort of breaks up the asset into these three parts. And then with some trickery, technical trickery, and her very nice illustrative style, I found we got this really cute mini representation of a planet.
And I think it's also from a player perspective easy to see. Okay, I had this planet, I have there and forest biome, I have some desert, I have some ocean created, and it kind of like easy in a quick click refreshes your memory what was going on the planet where you last played when you want to continue on it. And it looks neat. It just shows up what's going on with the summary next to it in terms of what kind of resources are there already created. Is there like a limit how far your whole galaxy stretch it will be in terms of like new planets and so?
Well, we have very much the main issue is here that your screen only has that much size, and at some point it's just going to be very cluttered. So we just want to show a few planets, and then if you end up having more planets than that, you can either like delete your old planets or move to a sort of a different page in the system. Yeah.
Wow. I'm excited where the whole journey will go. Very quickly before we wrap this up, now progressing all these months and years of work and creating all your combination of assets and plugins, is there, when you look back at it, something that you would have now, with your knowledge, would do different? Speaking of game art or artistic directions or changes? I mean, we heard about the volcano. Is there
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
It always, the hard thing every time, like we work on these games for like 3 years.
Mhm.
The hard thing every time is that you have all these ambitions in your head, and then you know from the very start that only a little bit of it is gonna make
Yeah,
the
always.
1.0 version. Yeah, so that's always very sad. And I think it would be. Mm, well, we're getting. We've been doing this for 10 years now, right? So
Hmm.
we're getting better and better every time in sort of finding the people, gathering the people around us. We now have a lot of very good freelancers doing animation and doing assets, and we can make it work. But always this feeling remains that you feel like if we only had found this specific person. With that skill set, then we could also have done this, right? So I think that's sort of the regrets I still have every time.
I hear you. I hear you.
No.
Well, that's for us consumers a good thing to hear, because that just shows the dedication, passion, love behind it, and also that you are, well, of course, try to deliver the best that you can.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm really eager to see your final, let's call it final product, and how it plays. The demo itself already plays superbly well, and gives you a really good idea of how the game will be played later on. And I'm also very curious what kind of stories the players will be able to tell, because very quickly hopping into gameplay, the humans that are living on your planet, they will create things with the tools that you give them, and they will tell some sort of like their own story. There might be peacefully coexistence, there might be maybe war, and I heard some other shenanigans that will go on, but I'll let the players find out for themselves what will happen with their little creation, playing around with your giants and playing a little bit God.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited for that part as well. It's actually what we focused on for Reus 2. In Reus 1, you could like win the game and have a certain amount of score, and then you would unlock some more things for your next run. That also is in this version, but we've really added this part where you have a narrative where you make well, a little bit like I don't know. We like to play these large games like Civilization, where you guide humans through history. And I'm not going to say this is like Civilization, but it's certainly inspired. It has inspired the way we think about how the progress of humanity can be a story, and you can indeed make a very conscious choice for going to war, or like making this very industrious city, or making decisions that would lead to to create wealth, or maybe exploitation of your neighbors, things like that. So that's for you to decide, really.
Yeah, yeah. I also love. Can you really quickly show the very beginning of the planet, how your humans look like, and like zoom in here in the valley shrines to see how the buildings and the clothing look like of the people, and like look at that, they have like little tunicas going on, and head clothes, and they discuss about
Yeah.
what's going on in their world, and what kind of resources they have access, and what giant influenced that. How does it look like when they start? I find it super cute and funny, where they're
Yeah.
basically little Nicky Bakies with plants.
Let me create a new one. The what's funny I find is you have these settlers, So this is a huntress character, and that sort of flavors gives you a flavor to your start, right? There's a
Yeah.
bonus associated with that, but it also really depends on where you settle them visually. Also, because if I settle them in the where is the taiga? If I settle them in the taiga, their buildings will be like these Viking type of buildings, like these wooden A-frames. Let me just settle them here.
Look at them go. I love it.
Yes, it's a simple life, but it's a good one.
Interesting. So we have also the different artistic decisions in terms of depending on the biome to make their houses and their clothing make sense fitting in the atmospherical region that they live in.
Yeah, exactly. And so let me see. So this is a Viking sort of town because I settled this in the taiga, but I can spawn a village, another settler in a moment, and settle them in the desert, and they would look totally different. I mean, the biggest difference from for your biome choice is actually, of course, the sort of assets you can place there. I can place different animals and different plants in the taiga than I would in the desert. Let me make a desert and then see if I can cheat my way to another settler.
Perfect. I mean, we come back to that statement that you said with depends if you are in min-max or you want your world to have a certain high score, or if you are just want to create a beautiful landscape more or less and see what your little humans will create and do with the resources you give them. And especially at the beginning when you start your world, you kind of like set a goal for yourself of what kind of resource you want to focus. And yeah, then the decisions making on what biome you use and what bioticas to combine is important if you're going for the score part. And this looks so good. I'm flabbergasted. I just want to play the game.
Nice, cool.
Are the looks and designs inspired by like I don't know historical buildings and whatnot, or did you came up with them on your own?
We have like these themes for the buildings that are like based on like continents all over Earth. So you have these sort of northern vibes going on here.
I love it. That's my thing.
Nice, and then you have the clothes fitting there as well. Then you actually have the sort of leader characters. We don't call them by name, but they are maybe you can recognize. But they are sort of based on these historical figures as well.
Yeah.
And then let me just settle a new settler in the desert. So let me just put them here.
You have to do it on my end again, as the transition of the last stream just froze for me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Where do I? What was the question?
The last stream. Oh, there we go. Now it catched up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay. So we're now in the desert. Oh, look at that little tents, very light clothings.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And let me see if this works, but maybe I can press this button and then maybe it will work or not work. But they have these like technological stages or development stages that they go through, and they have tents now, but they will end up with these very nice sandstone buildings
nice.
and with domes and stuff like that.
Fantastic. So that we as a player will have a visual progress of their different technical eras and so on and so forth to see them progress. Oh, look at that.
There we go. Now it works. So let me just do that. So now there's a lot bigger. So they have a very distinct visual style for their cities. And I think I also upgraded this one. Yeah, so they have also become a lot bigger right now.
Look at that longhouse in the back of the Jarl.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. And really quickly, before we wrap it up, how does the interaction between these cities work? Now, to quickly go into technical, moving away from autistic directions. Like, how does the Cactusville now interact with the other village?
Yeah, so there are two mechanics that are relevant for interaction between cities, and one is trade, which basically gives a bonus. It's not visually represented right now as much as we would like, and the other is war, and I can't show you right now. I can maybe force some war against the giants, but not between cities right now. But the idea is pretty much that they end up really don't liking each other, and then at some point they say, I'm gonna fight you, and then one will win.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what the journey will bring for me playing this, for you guys watching, playing this. Please feel free to hop in our Discord for Reus 2 and, of course, share your experience now with the Steam Next Fest coming up as well. I would love to see your little journeys, your little worlds, and what you liked most about it, of course. And definitely throw feedback at us as we are still in development of the game itself. Keep in mind, everything you see here is not the final product yet. There will be, of course, some alterations, changes here and there of odds and ends. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed a little view behind the curtains. Maarten, thank you kindly for taking your precious time and letting us a little bit of an understanding on how the world creation works, the full process behind it, the inspirations behind it, and yeah, giving us a view behind the masterminds of Reus 2.
Thanks so much. Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun to do.
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly. Hopefully until next time, maybe we'll do like a full-on team discussion when the launch day is happening, and we'll see. Maybe we'll even ask the community for some direct questions towards you, or make it live so they can directly ask you. But that's future talk. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Once again, these curious little beings called humans ask for your help. After all, this isn't the first planet in which you guide their fickle spirits. To help them, use your elemental giants to create lush biomes. Take your time to let them create harmonic ecosystems that form bountiful lands. Their directions depend on the bounties you provide them. Watch as they use the nature you provide to create inventions and develop new ideas. Meet the many different spirits of humankind, blessed or cursed with their own personalities. They will use it to prosper or to foolishly rebel against the gods. But if you're patient and help them enough, their ambition may surprise and inspire you. Every planet is a new history. Experiment with your giants. Discover humanity and fill the universe with life.